It's me. It's me. It's that GJC. I don't have like double letters in my name until my last name, so it didn't really work. What's up, everybody? It is Greg Cherry back with another live stream. Yes, I did not do one last week. I was busy kayaking in the river, so that's why I wasn't able to get enough service to maneuver the phone and do the live stream with you guys. So that's why that happened. Um, I want to wait until a few more people are in here. I want to do essentially a giveaway today. Um, I'll wait till there are a few more people in the chat so I can talk about that. If you follow me on Twitter, you already know what the giveaway is, but at Greg Cherry Brand, if you want to follow me there. But yeah, I want to do a giveaway. I have something right here that is unopened that I would like to give away to you guys for watching the stream. But that's only if we hit $100 in super chats today. So we will see how that comes along and go from there. So what's up with everybody out there on this incredibly hot Sunday? It's been hitting the 90s in western Pennsylvania, and the humidity is insane. And it's supposed to get even hotter the next few days. So definitely warm in this area. What do you got for me? Cool Brothers Radio Podcast. Hey, Chair Bear, what's up? How you doing? Greg, what's the bigger Lesnar dream match? Riddle versus Lesnar or Lashley versus Lesnar? Honestly, I would say Lashley versus Lesnar because I feel like Riddle versus Lesnar is only for like the internet fans, like the people. But Lashley Lesnar, I've wanted to see for like 15 years. So that match needs to happen. I would love to see that match happen. And if Sting and Taker happens, who should go over? Depends on the match type, really. I would say that I'd probably have Taker go over. I mean, I feel like there's no point in Sting going over, really. And Sting's WWE tenure, as brief as it was, didn't really justify his career. So, I mean, you can give it to Sting, but I don't know what the point would be. Old Joey Jonathan, King Corbin versus The Fiend, Firefly Funhouse match at SummerSlam. Does that mean one of them's champ? If it means one of them's champion, then okay. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I would definitely be fine with that, especially if Corbin was the one to be champion. Like, let's say, although I have no idea what they're doing with Otis and Money in the Bank, Corbin needs to trick Otis into like some Money in the Bank match and then win it from him. Kind of like how Edge did to Mr. Kennedy. But then Corbin wins, cashes in on whoever's champion, and then goes on and defends the title at SummerSlam. Mike Gonzalez in the house. What's up? Curtis Butler says you have to promote the show. Big build up equals big payoff. Yeah, it's true. But the problem with my streams is that they kind of jump all over the place. So it's kind of like you have to wait and see what happens. Chris Butler says it's 95 here. Yeah, I think it's like 91 here. Still warm. But Cam Newton folded against Peyton Manning and the Broncos in the Super Bowl, so him on the Pats is still a good move, right? Nope. It'll be interesting to see how Cam Newton runs a Bill Belichick offense. I know Belichick's not like the offensive coordinator or whatever, but he basically runs the team, so. And it'll be interesting to see Brady running a Buccaneers offense as opposed to what Belichick's been giving them the last almost 20 years. Which Edge cash-in was more memorable, on Cena or Taker? Well, Cena's was the very first, so that one's memorable. I like the one on Taker as well. A little biased because of where it happened, but I think the one on Cena is more memorable, just because it was the first one. Now, the Patriots will for Newton's style. Newton won't have to fit the Patriots style. That's fair. I mean, Belichick, he's had Brady for so long that like it's weird that he won't, and it's not for like a season-ending injury either. It's like because he's straight up not there anymore. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt. I'm sure Belichick will figure something out. I'm waiting for the referees' heads to explode once the Buccaneers and the Patriots face each other, but that's another story. Blue Cane confirmed. Blue Cane? Okay. That Cam Newton was 5 years ago before injuries. We'll see. Yeah, we will see. Cam is... He's not that same Cam Newton that was in the Super Bowl. Or I should say the same Cam Newton that got to the Super Bowl, because that Broncos defense pretty much wiped the floor with Cam. But we'll see how he adapts to the Patriots offense. The Patriots offense is, and has been for the last 20 years, stack your offensive line so they don't get to the quarterback. So if he's protected back there, he should be fine. Seth Rollins versus Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart versus Dean Ambrose, or Roman Reigns versus Razor Ramon. Which fantasy matchup would be greater? I would go with Seth and Shawn. Bret versus Dean. Actually, both the Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns match. What would be the storyline there? Seth and Shawn feels like they would have a more natural meetup than the other two combinations. Adrian, missed you last weekend, Greg. Yeah, I missed being on the stream. As I mentioned, I was kayaking last weekend, so I wasn't able to do it. But that was fun, too. It was a good 3-hour workout, kayaking down the river. So, but yeah, I am back. I am back doing the stream again. I like doing things. I really do. Cam Newton or Lamar Jackson? Well, if we're going on right now, it's probably Lamar Jackson. As much as I hate to give props to a Ravens quarterback, he's very talented. And as much as I hate to say this too, Baltimore is probably a couple seasons away from a good Super Bowl run. I hope it doesn't happen because, AFC North rivalry, but I can't deny talent. I can't. I tried for years with the Patriots, and I can still have my excuses. It's like they made the Super Bowl 9 times with Brady, 9, 10 times, and won 6. It's like, jeez. I think it was 9, but it's still insane. Does this mean Ric Flair is the manager of the new Four Horsemen, Orton, Ziggler, Dijakovic? Where are you getting that? The Steelers won't see another Super Bowl once Ben's gone. Well, they kind of proved that last season, didn't they? They need... I don't want the Steelers to tank for anybody. Trevor Lawrence is still in... Trevor Lawrence is still with Clemson, isn't he? I don't see the Steelers tanking for Trevor Lawrence. But you know, football season's still a couple months away. We'll get there when we get there. I know there's not a whole lot going on in the wrestling world. I really hope the fans come back soon. All of this stuff with COVID is. Let me put it this way. Eventually, people are going to have it. It's going to be like a strain of the flu. So, I'm not saying like go out there and cough on your neighbor or something. It's like, just let life take its place. Let things happen. And if you catch it and you get better from it, your body will build antibodies to it. And will be able to combat it easier. Yeah, you have to let your body do the work, you know? I'm not saying, you know, go out there in front of groups of people and it's like, oh, everybody get COVID, yeah. No, don't do that stuff. Don't, like, intentionally go out there to get it. But you're putting your life on hold for this. Like, living in fear. And I understand that there is a reality. There are people who die from this. But at the same time, you can't be afraid to live because of something that you can't actually see. If you're going to live in fear, then people are going to see that, and it's just going to be a complete cluster. Then again, a lot of people are selfish anyway and do whatever they want, so it's like, just let people make decisions for themselves. For some reason, political leaders are like, no, we have to make the decisions for you because you're too stupid. I'm paraphrasing, but they might as well say that. But no politics on the show. No politics on the show. No politics on the show. Trade for Mayfield. No. Or sign Joe Burrow to the Steelers. That probably won't happen. I believe the Steelers' all-time team would destroy any all-time team in a Super Bowl. Your thoughts? That's very possible. You would have to look at. See, the only, like, a San Francisco 49ers all-time team would also have, like, Joe Montana and Steve Young as a backup. And you would have. There's so many teams who have had so many talented players. That would be interesting to see those all-time teams face off against each other. I think, I don't know if men still does or if they ever did. Like, I can't think off the top of my head whether they did all-time teams. Where they have, like, the Steelers all-time team, the Cowboys all-time team, 49ers, Patriots, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Seahawks, Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, whatever. Whether they have the all-time greatest players for all positions since, like, I don't know, the 1960s on. I'm sure there would be very talented players. Like, you would put them there, they're in their prime, they're doing what they do. But something else you have to realize. With all-time teams, it's not necessarily the best players in each position. You have to also figure out, do the best players in each position gel with the other players? Because if there's no cohesion, if there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? If there's no electricity, if there's no connection there between the players, then they're all just great individual players, but not a team. See, that's like something a lot of people don't think about. It's like, yeah, you can have the greatest players of all time, but if they don't gel as a team, it's not going to work. You need great teammates as well as great players in that position. And those are the teams that make the Super Bowl win. All right, so now that we got a few more people in here, I want to tell you guys about something I'm doing. So, if you follow me on Twitter, @GreatCherryBrain, you know about this already. But if we reach today, before the stream is over, $100 or more in Super Chats, and that's combined with everybody. Like, you don't have to Super Chat $100. You can if you want, up to you. But you don't have to do that. But if we reach $100 in super chats, however we manage to do it, I will be giving away this unboxed version of, yeah, there you go, the Plug and Play Steel Cage Challenge. All you have to do is, I think it's just, yeah, you just plug it into your TV. It's a controller right here. I have one unboxed. I've played it before. I've beat it. But I have a second one, and I'm willing to give it away to one of you if we reach $100 in super chats today. And you earn an entry for every dollar that you super chat. We'll put it in a randomizer at the end of the show if we get there, and one of you will win this. And then you'll send me your address, and I'll send this off to you, and it'll be good to go. So, $100 or more in super chats combined from everybody. One of you can win this Steel Cage Challenge Plug and Play. Good luck to all of you if you decide to enter, but that's only if we reach $100 in super chats or more. All right. Kevin Federline versus Bart Gunn versus Greg Cherry versus King Corbin versus Big Ben versus Shane McMahon in a winner-take-all match. What's on the line, if I may ask? Jermaine Presley, hi Greg, how was your 4th of July? It was decent. My wife and I watched Hamilton yesterday on Disney Plus. Good show. Good show. Also had hot dogs and hamburgers. And we ordered pizza too, because America. Pretty chill day. We didn't really go anywhere. We didn't really do much of anything. My wife spent 12 hours making ice cream cakes for a birthday party today, so not a very adventurous day for either one of us, but it's okay. I like those relaxing days. Cut a promo on Kevin Federline. Put him over like you're Heyman. The promos are on the wheel, buddy. Gotta do the super chats to spin the wheel and get the promos. What did you think of Io versus Sasha this past Wednesday night? I mean, I'm always going to put over a Sasha Banks match. Io and her put on an incredible match. Further the storyline with Sasha and Asuka. Did not make Sasha look weak in defeat at all, which is brilliant. Made Io look like a great champion. Top-notch booking on NXT. I thought it was done very well. And I'm looking forward to see what they do next. I know Sasha and Asuka are going to be competing for the Raw Women's Championship. And we'll see if Bayley interferes there, see if she helps Sasha win the title, or if she screws up and costs Sasha the title. We will see. Honestly, I wouldn't mind Sasha being Raw Women's Champion again, but then again, I feel like they just take it right back off of her if they went that route. And it's like, Sasha doesn't need another week-long championship reign just for her to get beat again. Sasha needs a solid, lengthy, months-long reign as Women's Champion. I don't know why on the main roster in her 5 title reigns, 6 now, I guess, between the tag team titles and the Raw Women's title, that she hasn't been given a lengthy reign yet. I feel like the tag team one's coming to an end soon. I don't know who's going to be the team to beat her and Bayley rather. But it's going to happen because you gotta stoke the flames towards Sasha and Bayley, putting on an absolute wrestling clinic. The blue cage still sends chills down my spine. So many great memories. Yeah, the blue cage the blue steel cage was it really iconic for our time. You figure they didn't really bring in the like mesh steel cage until like late '99, 2000 time frame, because they used the blue steel cage, and then they made it like a black steel cage for a little bit, and then they started using like the mesh cage, which I guess that's easier to use as a steel cage, using the mesh fencing. But apparently those bars were incredibly like, I mean they're steel, so yeah, but they were incredibly painful. Not that any part of a steel cage shouldn't be painful for the sake of the show, but am I the only one torn on the Cole versus Lee match? Both are my favorites. Whoever loses should go to the main roster, but whoever becomes champ will drop the Karrion Kross. It's going to be difficult because who do you put over in that situation? And do you have a clean finish? Now, the one guy in Indus Shear like tweeted out something, and it's like, oh, this person won. I'm not providing spoilers for who won in case you haven't seen it yet. But then they were like, oh, yeah, they filmed 2 endings. Which, in that situation, with them being able to tape stuff in front of just their PC crowd, they're able to do that. They're able to record multiple endings, so you don't know which person is going to win. As far as who should win, I mean, I wouldn't mind if Keith Lee won. Adam Cole's reign has been going on for over a year. Keith Lee winning, maybe it means the Undisputed Era come up right before SummerSlam. I don't know. Speculation. Or maybe right after SummerSlam. But then where do you go from there? Who do you build up for Keith Lee to face? Do you take a shot and put Karrion Kross in the title picture that quickly? Because my fear is if they put Karrion Kross in that situation that quickly, it's almost like how they booked The Fiend at Hell in a Cell. You're booking yourselves into a corner. Can Keith Lee afford to lose the NXT Championship if he were to win it? Could he afford to lose to Karrion Kross in his first defense? Would that hurt Keith Lee? Because you can't make Karrion Kross lose this soon if you're building him up as an unstoppable monster. And that's almost the problem when you build too many people that way. That eventually they're going to have to lose, and they lose a little bit of that mystique. Do you continue Karrion Kross's booking? Now, don't get me wrong. With Kevin Owens, they did this years ago with Kevin Owens when he first came to WWE, when he first came to NXT. He had a pay-per-view match, and then the very next takeover, he was challenging for the NXT title and won it by beating Sami Zayn. Will that same logic apply to Karrion Kross? Will he be able to be the person to carry NXT to the future for a while? And then who do you have beat him? Long-term booking is a very important part of where all of this goes. And I know Raw and SmackDown are booked basically on the fly, which is not compelling TV. NXT, I feel like, has a plan. And they build from that plan. They don't deviate from that plan unless absolutely necessary. So I'm sure they have an end game. Or at least they have a way to get there. But we'll just have to wait and see. For NXT, the interest is there. And we'll see when they hit their next takeover event, whether it be like in your house, like Halloween Havoc or something. Because who knows when the next takeover will be. Or maybe like in your house Bash at the Beach. Whatever. Mike Gonzalez, who are your top 5 world heavyweight champions? His are Edge, Taker, Batista, Triple H, and Jericho in that order. As far as the world heavyweight title goes, you would have to say Edge, you would have to say Triple H. You might be able to throw Benoit in there. Batista would have to be in there. Because Batista was almost synonymous with that title. Kurt Angle wasn't champion long enough for me to put him up there. Mysterio was okay as world champion both times. Nothing overly memorable. King Booker. I mean, your list is pretty solid overall. It might be hard to deviate from that list at all. I mean, Daniel Bryan as world heavyweight champion gave birth to the Yes Chance. So you could put him in there. You probably could put Sheamus in there, if only for the length of the reign. And even though Christian wasn't champion for very long, his feud with Randy Orton was the feud of 2011. It's better than Punk and Cena. Fight me. Orton and Christian was better than Punk and Cena. As far as the feud. Some storylines, this is from Curtis Butler, some storylines are long-term and some are short-term, oven-baked or microwaved. Yeah. When you hotshot stuff, sometimes it doesn't work. There's the rare opportunity where it does. But typically, the slow burn storylines are the ones you're invested in because you're dying to see the payoff. And you keep checking, like you said, it's oven-baked. You keep checking, still a little soupy in the middle. It's not ready yet. But you wait just the perfect amount of time for it to come out of the oven, and it's hot, it's ready, it's delicious. Sasha and Bayley is an oven-baked storyline because it's taking its time. It's slow burn. And the payoff is going to be amazing. Jermaine says WWE needs to split up The Miz and John Morrison. After Morrison's performance against Matt Riddle, he needs to be put in a title picture by himself. He's too good to be tagging with The Miz. John Morrison is incredibly underrated, and the fact that he is still this good and this slick 9 years after he left the WWE. I mean, we saw what he did with Lucha Underground. We saw what he did with Impact. John Morrison has never not been talented. I know, double negative. But he just seems to get better all the time. He is innovative. His offense is creative. He's entertaining. I would like to see a Jomo singles run. I would like to see him as like a Universal or WWE champion. Will he get that opportunity? We'll see. I hope he does. Right now, I like the stuff that Miz and Morrison are doing because it's a harkening back to the days of the Dirt Sheet duo, and they're funny together. They are. Going to your NXT point, legends like Kurt Angle, HBK, Daniel Bryan didn't have to always win in order to get over. Who can get over present day in NXT despite potential bad booking on the main roster? Here's what I've noticed, and it's not a 100% accurate accounting of NXT versus the main roster. Okay, NXT versus Raw and SmackDown. If you take the four horsewomen out of the picture, if you take Sasha Bailey, Becky Charlotte out of this equation, typically the people who succeed in NXT do not succeed on the main roster. The people who don't have the accomplishments in NXT do succeed on the main roster. Case in point, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bo Dallas, Neville. Basically, most of the NXT champions after Big E have not translated to success on the main roster. Keith Johnson with a $2 super chat. Greg, what is Dexter Lumis' ceiling? Dexter Lumis, I don't know if he's NXT Championship material. Maybe he gets into the North American title picture. Excuse me. As soon as I get my voice back. Maybe he's in the North American title picture, but I don't see the gimmick going past a mid-card look. I'll put you down, though, for 2 entries into the Steel Cage Challenge giveaway for the $2 super chat. And I'll keep track of that on a spreadsheet. So there you go. I'll keep track of the total also. Yeah, that's not it. I'd say Bianca Belair could get over despite terrible main roster booking in the future. Well, she has to be used first. She was used for like a couple weeks on Raw and then relegated to main event. It's like if you don't have a plan when you bring them up, why bring them up? You know? You need to have a plan for them. Otherwise, leave them where they are. Let them succeed where they're at. It makes absolutely no sense to me that Bianca gets called up, Shayna gets called up, and they're not even on TV. Have a plan. Don't call them up and say, oh, yeah, we'll figure it out. It's like, If you don't have it figured out, don't call them up. Don't call them up if you don't have it. Because then you're making them waste their spot. They're not doing anything. It makes absolutely no sense. And this is why I was saying, people in NXT who succeed don't get treated well on the main roster. Shayna Baszler. Asuka might be an exception. Look at Kairi Sane, NXT Women's Champion. Sure, she was Tag Team Champion for a little bit, but other than that, not a whole lot notable. Who else was NXT Women's Champion? Ember Moon. Ember Moon didn't do a damn thing on the main roster. She might have had a couple cool moments as far as hitting the Eclipse, but she never had a storyline that like translated to anything. Which is sad because Ember Moon is damn good. I hope she recovers from her injury. I hope she makes it back. Let's see. Before Asuka was Bayley, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Paige. But think about it, Alexa Bliss didn't have a single title in NXT. And now on the main roster, she's had 7 title reigns. 5 singles, 2 tag team. You can't make this stuff up. Nikki Cross didn't have a championship in NXT, and she's a 2-time women's tag team champion. Elias was pretty much like a forgotten figure in NXT. And he comes up, he's multiple-time 24/7 champion. He's put in major storylines against big names. May not translate to like long-term success, but he's doing better on the main roster than he did in NXT. I know I have more examples of this, but it goes to show that, I mean, think about Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans was not really a major factor in NXT. She comes up to the main roster and is pushed. She was main eventing pay-per-views less than 6 months into her main roster debut. Think about it. It just goes to show you that your success in NXT does not necessarily translate to Raw or SmackDown. Jury's out on Matt Riddle. He just started on SmackDown. It remains to be seen. Curtis Butler says, when Heyman passed the sword to Pritchard, talent was going to get lost in the sauce. Great talent at that. The problem is that they have so many talented people on their roster that they don't do anything with. It is mind-numbing that how can you consider yourself somebody who works for creative and not have something for everybody who works there, even if it's minuscule, that they have a story, that they have some sort of importance, and they're not just there. Why is it so hard? I don't get it. Why is it so hard for people to... I know, I talk a lot about this, that the Attitude Era, everybody had a story. Every single person. It didn't even have to be a wrestler. Sometimes the announcers had storylines. Sometimes the referees had storylines. You're telling me you have a roster full of a bunch of guys and a bunch of dudes, a bunch of women, and you can't figure out storylines for like half of them? What is Liv Morgan doing right now? Her storyline with Lana was like a month long and then passed off for Liv and Ruby Riott, which never amounted to much of anything. Like, what are you? You can't give Liv, who was built up to have this amazing comeback, and you squander it for what? It makes no sense to me. Why you would put all this time and effort into video packages and all this other stuff of like, oh yeah, we're pushing this person, we're pushing this person, and like, why is it so hard? Adrian says the Attitude Era was all sex and puppies. I mean, there was a lot of that there. Sure. I'm talking about like the dudes too, right? Like the Mean Street Posse had storylines. The Mean Street frickin' Posse had storylines. And you're telling me you can't come up with storylines for most of your mid-carders? Is creative the right word? You can't have a creative process if you're not going to give people a chance to shine. People can shine in like a 2-3 minute segment. But if you don't even give them that opportunity, if they're just there and they're just taking a pinfall and nothing is helping them, it's like they're going to be forgotten about. Why? I understand you can't push everybody at the same time, but give them a reason to be on TV as opposed to just being a body that you need to put somebody else over. WWE TV is becoming so formulaic that they need a rut break. They need something big to like make it feel important. But nothing feels important. And I don't know if that's the lack of crowd or if it's the lack of creative story. You need something. And I'm just one voice. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. In Zamazu we trust. RVD won both Hardcore Championship and WWE Championship. So the 24/7 isn't necessarily a death sentence. I mean, Bobby Roode won the 24/7 title and he became a tag team champion later. Don't act like the 24/7 title was a death sentence. I mean, R-Truth, it saved his freaking career. And yeah, he's like 37-time champion. But I might need to move the direction that you're blowing. Right in my eye. If they trade their mid-card titles like they meant something, there would be far more storylines, ideas to work with. And now I will say this in defense of WWE and really any wrestling company. Sometimes booking is hard. And especially when you have to put on multiple hours of live television during the COVID era, it's taped, sure. But multiple hours of live TV in a normal setting every week. It has to be your life at that point to put on that much television. It has to be like the only thing that you know in order for it to come across as even semi-decent. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I have creative storylines for days. It's like, oh, I know how to build people. A lot of us don't. A lot of us don't understand the idea of telling stories as far as wrestling. We just see wins and losses. And a lot of people see wins and losses as like, oh, this person's buried. I was like, oh, how can this person take a loss? Blah, 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 blah. There's so much finality when people are booking shows, like when people are watching shows, rather, that they're like, oh, man, it's like, this person lost. How could they lose? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, maybe it's part of a storyline. Odds are it's not. But, give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, you don't watch an episode of Friday Night SmackDown thinking, like, oh, they're never going to get back to this. It's like, that is not the last episode of Friday Night SmackDown that's ever going to air. Unless they were to advertise it as such. So, and I doubt that would be the case anyway, because WWE can still run. WWE is still powerful enough. They'll get the TV deals. If they don't get the TV deals, they'll go to their network. They'll still run the live shows. They'll put all the shows on the network. You buy the network, you watch Raw and SmackDown and all that stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm paying for it. Maybe you get more viewership that way. I don't know. Okay? I don't know. What's up, Matt Holmes? How you doing? Mike Gonzalez, looking back, do you think Legacy was a success? They weren't put with Orton until around the time Orton was injured in 2008. And they weren't truly a faction until 2009. Legacy was just there to protect Orton. Right? DiBiase and Rose were just there to protect Orton, as opposed to like elevating themselves. DiBiase never really recovered after that. Cody obviously did. And Orton's gone on to be one of the best of all time. I guess you could call Legacy a success, but it depends on what your definition of success is. Like, success as in they're remembered well for being a good stable, or their careers flourished after the fact. Again, DiBiase's didn't really. I don't know why. And to think Raw has 3 hours instead of 2 hours to build. That might be a problem too. The fact that they have too much TV time. And I've been saying this for years, that Raw needs to be a 2-hour show. You cannot expect a wrestling audience to tune into a 3-hour weekly show. 2 hours is one. 2 hours is fine. But 3 hours of investment every single week. It's basically like you're running a pay-per-view. Now TNA did that in their early days because that was their only means of being available to watch. Like, they didn't have a TV deal at the time. They didn't have any of that. So they ran weekly pay-per-views, $10 a week, and that was that. But when you're asking people to watch Raw, 3 hours, to watch NXT, 2 hours, SmackDown's 2 hours, that's 7 hours of WWE, only WWE a week. That doesn't include the 2 hours of AEW. That doesn't include NWA. Doesn't include ROH, New Japan. It doesn't include any of that. That's 7 hours of WWE per week. It's a lot to be invested in. It's almost similar to how I say that the only people that have the ability to watch a 162 game season of baseball, there's only a few kind of people that can do that. A, you either play the game, B, you're a sports analyst who covers nothing but baseball, or C, you're unemployed and you have nothing to do. Those are the only kind of people that can watch all 162 games and be caught up on everything. So asking people to invest themselves in 7 hours of wrestling, just WWE, 7 hours of wrestling a week, every single week, and then on top of that, watch the pay-per-views when they come around. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot more than we had to deal with back in the days of Raw being 2 hours, SmackDown being 2 hours, and NXT not existing. Sunday Night Heat you could watch for a little bit, and it's like it didn't really further any storylines necessarily, kind of like main event does now. It doesn't further any storylines. It's just more wrestling if you want it. Um, but 4 hours of wrestling a week as opposed to 7, it's a big difference. And I feel like people got more invested because they weren't as burnt out. It's a mouse who we trust. $5 super chat. Do you see WWE finally putting the strap back on Wyatt at SummerSlam? If they draw this storyline out enough, because their swamp match is not for a championship. In fact, I don't know what the rules of it are either. But it opens the door for the Fiend to come back at SummerSlam and take the title from Strowman, if they decide to go that route. Again, we will see. And maybe this is a possibility to make Wyatt versus Reigns happen at WrestleMania 37 for what WrestleMania 36 was supposed to be before all the Goldberg nonsense and the world imploding in on itself. So I can see them putting the title on Wyatt at SummerSlam, and you can have that goofy ass masked title again. But it'll be interesting to see if he's the 3 faces of Bray, as opposed to just Firefly Funhouse Bray and the Fiend. Now you add Wyatt Family Wyatt back into it. Either world's Bray, I guess. Buddy Darius, here's a challenging question. Who do you think should win in their feud? Baron Corbin or Matt Riddle? Matt Riddle's going to win that feud. Let's be completely honest. If they brought Matt Riddle up there to be a jobber to Baron Corbin, then it's either going to lead to a Baron Corbin championship run, or it's going to lead to Matt Riddle being gone from the company. I don't see them hyping him up as much as they are if they're not going to put him over Corbin. And maybe this is something for Corbin to be like, okay, you lose this feud, we'll give you something else. We'll give you the thing with Otis. That's even if that happens. I don't know for a fact. I have no idea what they're going to do with Otis and Money in the Bank, and maybe that's by design. Maybe we're not supposed to know. But we will see. Kairi Sane is going back to Japan to be with her husband. Did WWE drop the ball with her? Main roster did. NXT and the Mae Young Classic did not. I think the nail in the coffin for Kairi was the fact that all the COVID stuff happened and it ruined the opportunity for her to come out in like a pirate ship at WrestleMania. Because it's like, man, you have this WrestleMania, this pirate-themed WrestleMania, and everything is shut down, and like, there was, in WWE's defense, there wasn't anything they could do about that. But it's the fact of the matter. Like, they fed her to Nia Jax, and now she's not going to work anymore with WWE. It happened. Not everybody is going to get used to their full potential in WWE. Does that mean they won't succeed elsewhere? No. Think of how many people left WWE and became better because of it. Think of how many more people succeeded despite being gone from WWE. Because there's more opportunities outside of WWE. Still, could a Baron Corbin title run actually work at this point? Yes. And that could get buried due to the accusations if more comes out. I have no idea what to think about those accusations. I've seen a whole bunch of different stuff. I don't know if the woman is a reliable source, and I don't want to be that guy to be like, oh yeah, don't believe her, because it's like I don't have anything invested in Matt Riddle. It just seems like her stuff is suspicious. I'm not trying to take away from her. If it's legitimate, then I apologize, and I hope justice comes around to him. But we will see. I had my freaking watch recording what I was saying. Adrian with the 10 euro super chat. Come on, lads, empty your pockets and give the man proper money. Yes, that is what I like to see. You will get a spin. I am mad at it's Mazers. All right. We're up to $17 for the amount donated. So we're still ways away from seeing who gets the Steel Cage Challenge plug and play. Adrian, hopefully you have something compatible with this if you end up winning this. Because I know I'm pretty sure this is built for American TVs, but hopefully you would have something over there in Ireland that I'm sure you guys have like a Verge or something, right? Anyway, let's spin the wheel and see what happens. Dance break! Dance break! What song could I dance to? I'll do the Carmella dance break. Why not? All right, so. Here we go with the dance break. I don't want to play Raid Shadow Legends. Quit being in every single ad on every single YouTube video I watch. Quit it. Dance break. All right. There's a little bit of a dance break. Sitting on the corner. It's a good place. This guy experience. What's up, Greg? Oh, I'm low. Oops. That's what happens. There we go. Cool Brothers Radio Podcast. This is great. Thanks, Adrian. Hey, you guys can do the same thing. Enter to win this via Super Chat. If I get $100, somebody's winning this. I'm keeping track. SN1281 says better than Raw. Well, I hope so. That's what I try to do. Wish I made as much money as the people do with Raw, but hey. Buddy Darius says TNA is a dead company anyway. Tessa played politics and bullied everyone. That's the only reason she got pushed so hard. Wayne Zamazu, we trust, sends a $5 super chat that brings him up to 10, so he gets a spin too. So let me add him to the list, or add to his already existing one. So you get a spin, since you're up to $10 now. So let's see. What do you get? Entrance. So let me know which wrestler's entrance you want me to do, and I will do it. So there you go. Well, in defense of Impact, Slammiversary looks like it's going to be a kick-ass show. There's going to be a lot of people on that show. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm hoping that, I don't know where Matt is, but my buddy Matt is hoping to invite me to watch Impact and to watch Slammiversary. I think it would be fun. So Zamasu, let me know what entrance you want me to do, and I'll get it going. Buddy Darius, the spins are fun. Yes, they are. It's a different experience every time. Although I haven't hit karaoke in like 2 months. I've hit entrances a lot. I've hit the bankrupt more than I have recently. I've hit entrance. I mentioned I hit entrance a lot. I've hit dance break a few times. Hit t-shirt a couple times. I haven't hit karaoke in a while. There's 3 spots on the wheel for it. Oh, the pressure of choosing. I picked the Ultimate Warrior. Okay. Well, I'm turning my watch on then. Time to get a workout in. Okay. So, forgive me ahead of time because I'm going to be gassed, but here we go. I'm going to do the Ultimate Warrior entrance. Always an entrance that tires me out. I'm not gassed enough. Ugh. Okay. I think I'm plenty gassed. That'd actually be easier to do if I had more room to do it. Warrior, and that was half the match right there. Yep, that was. This is why I fill up my water before every stream, just in case I get the Warrior entrance. But yeah, there you go. So we're $22 so far for the live stream. Like I said, we get to 100, I give this bad boy away to anybody who super chats, and that can be super chats as low as $1, but you only get the spins if you do 10 or more. So there you go. For every increment of 10, you get another spin. For every $1 you send, you get an entry to win this. But we have to hit 100. That's the goal. We have to hit 100. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Let them know about it. Chris Butler, who's got $78. Hey. It can be a combination of anybody. It doesn't matter how it gets here, as long as it gets here. $78 to get somebody 7 spins. Might as well round it to 80 at that point. Get the 8. Warriors entrance is like Taker's. How? Yours is worth more than dollars. I know. I have to do. I don't have the conversion like in front of me. I'll have to do the conversion, but regardless, I'll do that. And then you guys can send me more stuff, and I'll do more entrances. Euro to dollar conversion. So 10 euros. It's actually 11.24. Okay, well, whatever. Times. Greg, you gonna be on the next Ninja Cure review? I don't know. I think my schedule for Thursday is pretty packed. I'm not sure if I'll be home for it, but I will be on a future review. Just give it time. I will be. We will see what happens. Yeah, euros are worth $1 and like 1 1/8 dollars. So euros do have more value than the American dollar. I account for that. We still need a lot of super chats to get to the 100. That's my point. And if we get there, we get there. If we don't, then we'll try it again next week. Simple as that. Top 5 Intercontinental Champions of all time. Mr. Perfect, Pedro Morales, Macho Man, Jericho, Razor Ramon. All solid. I would even throw The Miz up there. I know The Miz is kind of weird to be in that conversation, but he was a damn good Intercontinental Champion, and he held it 8 times. Very, very memorable time as Intercontinental Champion. I think very underappreciated also. Who else would be in the Intercontinental title conversation? I mean, Brett was a good Intercontinental Champion. Shawn was a decent Intercontinental Champion. Stone Cold didn't do a whole lot with the Intercontinental title. Mike Gonzalez says, "Are you surprised Miz never got a shot at the WWE title?" Well, he got a shot at the Universal just like a month ago. Didn't win, obviously, but I feel like Miz has the talent to have another like main event title run in him. It's just a matter of if it happens and the timing of it all. And Miz, if we want to be like super technical about it, technically Miz had a shot to become WWE champion in 2016 because of the Royal Rumble. If we really want to get technical about it. Jeff Jarrett, Honky Tonk Man, Ken Shamrock, The Rock, and Triple H for Intercontinental Champions. I mean, Jarrett was a 6-time Intercontinental Champion. The first ever 6-time Intercontinental Champion. Honky Tonk Man was the longest reigning. Shamrock's an interesting choice. He wasn't a bad Intercontinental Champion, but it wasn't super memorable. The Rock was a good Intercontinental Champion. Triple H's reigns as Intercontinental Champion were not. Triple H's reigns weren't that long. His first one was a few months, but not really. It wasn't really memorable. So what else is going on? I'm still trying to hydrate from the Warrior entrance. Who had a better career so far, Orton or Triple H? Probably Triple H. If we're going to really be honest about it. I mean, Orton's had a ton of success, but I think Triple H's career is more memorable. For better or for worse. Cool Brothers Radio Podcast. Your thoughts on Ludwig Borga? The only thing I remember is that he beat Tatanka's undefeated streak. Other than that, he didn't serve. Like, that will be Ludwig Borga's claim to fame in WWE. He ended Tatanka's undefeated streak. Other than that, he didn't do a damn thing. They were actually talking about putting the Intercontinental title on him. Never happened. That Ludwig Borga didn't really do anything for me. He wasn't there long enough to make an impact. Video Game Lover 58, what's up? How you doing? Curtis Butler, there will be a puppy bowl on AEW. Thoughts? As long as they don't have pyro. We had, unrelated story. We had somebody out here setting off fireworks when I was letting my dog out, and he like got scared to death and tried to run on their own porch. So they better not be stupid enough to do pyro, because pyro scares the crap out of dogs. Nate Washington, how you doing, Greg? How you doing, Nate? Puppy Battle Royal. I mean, I know it. It's yeah. I have no idea what that's about. I guess we'll see on AEW this week for Fighter Fest Part 2. Curtis Butler says Porter was the drizzling shits. Like I said, the only thing he did in wrestling was end Tatanka's undefeated streak. Nothing else memorable. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about as far as Ludwig Porter. And I've probably talked about him longer than anybody else has talked about him in 25 years. He was a foreign heel. He was there in the end of '93 and then gone. But anyway. It's Mazu we trust. I hate when he ended Tatanka's unbeaten streak, but as a kid, I thought he was for sure a credible threat because of it. Yeah, I mean, he was built that way. He was going to be built as a major heel. And I don't know if he had like a career-ending injury or what he did, but he wasn't there for very long. The This Guy Experience. Do you think Bray is this generation's Mankind? I did mention the three faces of Bray earlier. With The Fiend, with Firefly Funhouse Bray, and with Wyatt Family Bray. Not sure if we'll ever go full, like, Wyndham Rotunda, like Mick Foley has. I think that remains to be seen. I think Bray Wyatt is perfectly fine being the Bray Wyatt character. So, I don't know if he's this generation's Mankind. I can see it from the three faces. Adrian, did you rate Tatanka? Was he underrated or overrated? I like Tatanka. I thought his undefeated streak was underrated. Again, didn't like the fact that Ludwig Borga ended it. I think it was like on an episode of Superstars. It wasn't even on like Raw or something. It was like a weekend show, and like Ludwig Borga ended it by somebody attacked Tatanka. Ludwig Borga pinned him with like one finger, or Borga hit him with a chair or something, rolled him in the ring, pinned him with one finger. It's like, this guy's undefeated. I beat him with one finger. It's like, okay. But Tatanka, the fact that Tatanka never became a champion is kind of ridiculous, because he was over. Like, the fans loved him, and even when he joined the $1 Million Corporation, like, I thought him with the $1 Million Corporation was a surprisingly good fit, like, for him as a heel. Curtis Butler, did you hear about Big E's original gimmick idea of Mel Man? Dressed up as a U.S. postman with the super tight shorts? Yes. I've heard of that idea. If anybody could pull that off, it would be Big E. Mike Gonzalez said Tatanka's run in 2006 was a waste. It kind of was. Like, he came back for the Rumble. He was there for a couple months. They were, like, trying to build him back up, and then he was gone again. It's like, why would you do that? And then he just randomly showed up in the Battle Royal a couple years ago at WrestleMania. Like he didn't get an entrance or anything. He just happened to be there. It's like, wait a minute. Tatanka's in the freaking ring. Like, where did he come from? Yeah, Tatanka was undefeated for almost 2 years before the Borga thing. Kind of ridiculous. Tatanka, Bret Hart, and Taker were my introduction into wrestling. 91 was when the magic began. It was 92 for me. SummerSlam 92, if I remember correctly, because that was the first like pay-per-view that like my dad got on like a videotape or something, and I remember distinctly the Bulldog and Bret match, which I need to go back and watch again. It's been so long since I've seen that match. I need to go back and watch it. HBK should have dropped the Intercontinental title to Tatanka at Mania 9. Probably should have. course, WrestleMania 9 was just a weird WrestleMania. I was trying to think who Sean did drop it to, but I think he had to like vacate it or something, and then Razor won in a battle royal. Like HBK got popped for drugs or something, and he had to vacate the title, which led to the WrestleMania 10 match. Which was funny because if you remember the '94 Rumble, um, it was funny to me because Shawn interfered in the Razor IRS Intercontinental title match. And like IRS, I think IRS like pinned Razor and actually won the title briefly. And then like another referee was like, no, Shawn interfered because that's the fake Intercontinental title. Even though they look exactly the same, one's just darker than the other. And then Razor hit the Razor's edge and beat IRS. It was kind of a cool moment, but it was worth it for the Mania 10 ladder match. And the SummerSlam ladder match, which I got to see live. Vacated, had HBK's number around the mid-90s. I think he won the belt off him 3 times. Yeah, vacated the Intercontinental title twice. Well, he handed it to Dean Douglas, and they vacated the WWF title. I think they had to vacate the tag team title. Yeah, so, yeah, 3 times. Did you ever watch Territory Wrestling Companies growing up? If you did, which was your favorite? I remember... I don't know if this is much of a territory, because I think the territories were slightly after I got into wrestling. Or slightly before I got into wrestling, rather. I remember, like, just on a random, like, Saturday afternoon, I turned on, I was like, oh, wait, there's wrestling on. It's not WWF, it's, like, USWA. It was, like, Jerry Lawler's, like, organization. And, like... they would never admit that Brian Christopher was Jerry Lawler's son on there. Like they like blacked out the TV. Like they were about to admit it, and then they blacked out the TV. It's like, and everybody's like, "Oh, I didn't get that." It's like, "Well, I told you what happened, so you better believe me." It's like, "What did you even say?" It's like, whatever. It was a goofy angle. Who's the only current wrestler to face Tatanka in the WWE? Well, Matt Hardy is gone. Technically, in the Rumble, John Morrison faced him, so there's that. Trying to think who else was in the 2006 Rumble. Lashley? Okay. I mean, I guess. Bulldog, Bret Hart, Hogan, Savage, Warrior, Legion of Doom, Tatanka, Kona Crush, and Mr. Perfect is what got me hooked in wrestling. Yeah, there were a lot of good characters in '92. Oh, The Miz, okay. Chris Butler says, hey, I grew up on classic Memphis wrestling. There you go. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong with watching the territories at all. No judgment. I also remember watching in like the late '90s. I used to watch. I think anybody remember the show Jacked? And this may be more for my American people. I don't know if they did it overseas or whatnot, or what they called the like late Saturday night special shows overseas, but in America there was a show called Jacked, which was basically kind of like a Saturday version of Sunday Night Heat. If that makes any sense. It was like a late night thing. It was basically, it was almost like the dark matches on TV was what Jacked was. But I used to watch Jacked, and then after that, there may have still been one shot on Saturday Night was around, but I doubt it. But after Jacked was PWX Wrestling, which was a local Pittsburgh wrestling company that's still going today. And I used to watch some of the wrestling on there. I was like, oh, that's cool. I ended up working for them like 10 years down the road, so that was cool. Like, that's all about full circle for you. Decent company to work for. Nothing really bad to say about that. Didn't Tatanka turn heel on Lashley though? I don't know. It's 2006. 2006 is a weird time to even remember that Tatanka was there. All right. So we got about a half hour to get to that $100 level for this. Again, if you're just joining us, where's my? If you're just joining us, if I make it to $100 total super chatting, I am giving away an unopened Steel Cage Challenge plug and play. For anybody who remembers the old Nintendo game from like 25 years ago, they added Ultimate Warrior and Razor Ramon and took out Hogan and somebody else. I think they took out the Mountie for some reason. It's like, okay. But they took those guys out, put Warrior and Razor Ramon in, and it's fun. It's fun just to reminisce. It really is. And if you have kids and they like wrestling, this can be like the first game you introduce them to. It was one of the first wrestling games I ever played, so you can introduce them to that. And it's a fun little way to be like, hey, this is what wrestling games used to look like in my day. So if we get to $100, and if we don't get to $100 today, we'll push it off towards next week. We'll try and get there again. It's still going to be the goal. I know we're not going to hit the 1,000 goal for me to do the Rikishi dance on air, but I can still be surprised. I'll try and push that more and more along as we go on. So we still got about a half hour left in the podcast. My gosh. I was listening to some podcasts. And they do, I'm trying to find as many wrestling trivia shows as I can possibly find. Because, as you guys know, I'm the longest reigning NoDQ.com Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion in history. I have a shirt that says so. Which was 848 days as of today. I am still the Mark World Order King of the Marks. I just had successful defense on Friday of that championship. I will be defending the NoDQ.com championship this week. Lots of trivia matches I'm going under. So I'm trying to find as many wrestling trivia shows as I can find. I'm doing my own expedition of gold. And it is wonderful. Yes. But yeah, the eventual goal is to get on Quizlemania as the noted wrestling trivia expert. We will see if that in fact happens, because I've been invited to do this podcast, and I'll plug it on my Twitter whenever I get the call. I'll be like, hey, I will be on this podcast. I think it's supposed to be a live show, so that'll be fun. But I got this in hand because apparently we need like dry erase boards and stuff. So it's like I got my own dry erase board. Mike Gonzalez says only way you lose is Jeff pulls a Montreal screw job. I doubt it. I doubt it. I would be so pissed if he does before I hit 1,000. That is my goal. I want to hit 1,000 days, and then I'm going to open it up for a tournament to do another one of those and see if somebody can actually beat me for the championship. Because by the time the tournament finishes, I'll be close to 3 years as champion, which I might pass at this rate. I may pass Hulk Hogan's reign in the 80s with the WWF Championship. I may surpass that. But I got to get there first. The Mountie beating Bret Hart still affects me to this day. So funny how wrestling plays off your emotions. Yeah, especially because it was like, and like they was like, oh yeah, Bret Hart was sick and this and that and the other thing. It's like Bret Hart wasn't even at the Rumble event, so he must have really been sick. And it was so odd back in the day to do a championship change during a house show back in those days. It was they don't do it very often now, but it was even rarer back in like the early 90s. Cool Brothers Radio Podcast. Hey Greg, why does Osborne look like Benoit with lots of hair? Wow. I can't answer that for you. There you go, John Wick. Enjoy that. Adrian says, I'll be the $1 million man and buy my way to the WTC title. There you go. If you got $1 million, you know what? I would sell you the Wrestling Tournament Challenge Championship for $1 million. If that's what you got. I can be bought. Everybody's got a price. So we still got half an hour left in this. I would like to give this away. Again, if I don't give this away this week, we'll move it on to next week. I'll keep trying to give this away until we reach it. We've done it before. We did it like a couple weeks in a row the one week. We kept getting like those $100 super chat days, and it hasn't happened in a while. We need to get more people in here, get more people interested in the entrances. Hopefully I can do more giveaways like this too. We'll see. If you were a superhero, what 2 powers would you have? I would have the ability to fly. And I don't know if this is a superpower, but like the ability to act out scenarios. Like if I could come up with something in my mind, like play out the scenario, but like it wouldn't affect anything in real life. It would just be like, hey, what would happen if this actually happened? But then you can come back to reality and be like, okay, that would be... Does that make any sense, or am I rambling? I think it would be cool to like have that ability to be like, hey, you can be in the scenario, like you can pause time or whatever and act out the scenario, go through the entire process, and hey, you wouldn't have to like have any consequences from these actions. Like if you punch some dude in the face that you've always wanted to punch in the face because they're just so annoying, and you got that opportunity, and then you came back to reality. That person hasn't actually been punched in the face, but you know what that feeling is like to punch them in the face. It's like, okay, now I don't have to be arrested. Now I don't have to be like I don't have to be put in jail for anything like that. It's like I get to act out a scenario. Nobody knows it happens but me because it's not actually real. I don't know. I might have gone on too much. Adrian says the ability to make women have an orgasm. Already got that superpower. Just ask my wife. Anyway, watch next, Greg. Nick Cage has that power. Okay. Interesting. I figured I wasn't the one to come up with that. I'm not a big movie guy anyway, so. There you go. Those would be my two superpowers. Top 5 wrestlers of the Ruthless Aggression era. Cena, Angle, Edge, Taker, Orton. You gotta have Lesnar in there. You have to have Lesnar in there. Yes, he was only around for 2 years. But my goodness, did anyone make a bigger impression in those 2 years than Brock Lesnar? The night after WrestleMania 18 to WrestleMania 20, Lesnar was among the top superstars in that time period. Orton didn't really get going until 2004. Taker, I could see. Edge was out for a while that period too. You have to remember, Edge was out from like early 2003 to right after WrestleMania in 2004. And yes, Edge was spectacular during that era and came up with the rated R superstar. But he was gone for a little bit there. Cena, I mean, probably among those that started. And you have to throw Batista in there too. Really and honestly. How many wrestlers would have had the world title in their careers had it not always revolved around Hulk Hogan back in the day? You know, it would be interesting to see if you took the core amount of wrestlers from like 1988 to 1994. If you took that core of wrestlers and split the rosters to be like they are for Raw and SmackDown, if you split those rosters, who do you think would be world champion? Because you'd have two. It would be very interesting to see how that would be booked. Savage probably would have had more reigns. I think you would have to put Hogan and Savage on separate shows. That way Savage could actually have a lengthy reign and not have Hogan like interrupt it. And not have Hogan overshadow him either. Adrian says for top 5 in the Ruthless Aggression, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, John Cena, Lesnar, Batista. All solid choices. Absolutely solid choices. I would throw Angle in there because Angle was spectacular during that era. Curtis Butler, what do you think is the reason why NXT won the ratings war for the past 2 weeks? Well, I think the reason they won this week, I think the Great American Bash and Sasha Banks versus Io Shirai, which was their true drive. I mean, it got more ratings than anything else. Like, I think they had like 900,000 people watching Sasha and Io. It's like, Sasha Banks is a draw because they know how damn good she is. Especially when you put her against Io Shirai. Spectacular match is going to happen, and guess what? Yes, it does. Because guess what? Sasha Banks is the greatest women's wrestler in the world, because guess why? She can put on good matches with anybody. You can't say that about Charlotte. Charlotte is a fantastic worker. She is incredibly athletic, but she does not put on fantastic matches with everybody she works. Sasha does. fight me on that. I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill. That Sasha is a better worker than Charlotte. She puts on better matches than Charlotte, and I will die on that hill. It's just one man's opinion. But I've done the research. All right, so since I haven't plugged my stuff at all this show, really, other than my Twitter. But youtube.com/GregCherryBrand for the Wrestling Trivia Challenge. Another defense coming this Friday. If you haven't checked out my last defense against Steven Jensen of Fight Talk and Fightful.com, go check it out. It's over there. Buy a shirt, teespring.com/store/GregCherryBrand. So many shirt designs up there. I even have a shirt design for this. For this very wheel, you can get a shirt design for this very live stream. I finally have a shirt for this particular live stream. It's on there, the Wheel of Penn Sen shirt. Go get it. There's a lot of work putting it together, but it looks slightly different than this wheel does because I have it more in the Wheel of Fortune-like style, but it is what it is. And, of course, Twitter and Instagram, @GregCherryBrand. Go follow me on there. Tell your friends and neighbors to follow me because I'm sure I'm going to be blowing up here in a few weeks. Being on as many wrestling trivia things as I can, trying to get as many people to follow me as I can to eventually have that goal of being on Quizlemania. I want that spot. If you watched Quizlemania last week, you saw that I donated to their cause, and I told Adam Blampier I want that spot. Chris Butler says I'm pro AEW, pro NXT, pro wrestling, period. I'm not a fanboy either way. I'm not knocking AEW. I like AEW. I want them to succeed. I do. But I feel like NXT had the better draw this week. And I feel like they'll have the better draw this coming week, too, with the winner take all. We'll see. I don't know until the ratings come out, but that's my prediction. Adrian says, Sasha not a bit overrated. I don't think she's overrated. I don't. And I think the run she's having right now, she is proving how damn good she is. And she's not even the focal point. She's proving that she can be used in any situation. She can progress stories. She's believable. I love everything about Sasha Banks. I do. I think she's the best women's wrestler in the world. Period. And I think she's the best women's wrestler of all time. I think she's better than a lot of men. And that's a personal opinion. Some people don't like Sasha. I don't understand it, but some people don't like Sasha. To each their own. I think she's amazing. But everybody has their opinions. Ripley and Bianca have potential to be greats as well. Hopefully WWE doesn't continue to hold them in neutral. I think Bianca has a fantastic upside. She's got a ton of charisma. She's entertaining in the ring. They just need to give her the opportunity to shine. Same with Ripley. Although I feel like Rhea Ripley, especially since the loss to Charlotte, hit a brick wall. I feel like they need to do something different with her. Because losing to Charlotte hurt her more than they're going to let on. Curse Butler says, you can say Sasha and I can say Asuka and Thunder Rosa. Simple disagreement. Like I said, to each their own. I got nothing against Asuka. I got nothing against Thunder Rosa. I don't. Sasha's my preference. Cool Brothers Radio says, Karrion Kross is my favorite NXT superstar. As far as the men go in NXT, I'm going to go with the person who I think is going to be NXT champion on Wednesday, Keith Lee. Keith Lee is a freakishly good athlete. Men that size should not be able to do what he does. Like, if you look at a typical, 350-pounder, you don't think that they should be able to move and dive and do all this cruiserweight stuff like he does. But he does, and he does it flawlessly. Keith Lee is ridiculous. I love the dude. He's so good. And if he becomes NXT champion on Wednesday, well deserved. Well deserved. Absolutely. We'll see if it happens. Adrian says Sasha's in the ring is overrated. On the mic, she's one of the best. I love Sasha on the mic, too. Just like the swagger she carries herself with. Just amazing. And the only reason I hold Sasha to such high regard in the ring is because she was half of my favorite women's match of all time. Her and Bayley, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Greatest women's match I've ever seen. Still hasn't been beaten. It's Mazu we trust. Is Keith Lee is my favorite NXT superstar. Keith Lee. Whoop, whoop. I mean, Keith Lee's so good. I hope that with all the success in NXT he has, that he won't suffer from the same things that previous NXT champions do. If he becomes NXT champion, I don't know. Here's my prediction, so if he becomes NXT champion, they can become part of the conversation. But if he wins, then I hope he doesn't fall to the same problem that a lot of former NXT champions do when they go to the main roster, and that's they become forgotten or overlooked within a couple months. I'm hoping it doesn't happen for Keith Lee. I really am, because Keith Lee should be... I would love to see Keith Lee versus Brock Lesnar match. 15, 20 minutes of those two just beating the crap out of each other. That's what I would love to see. What year do you think the start was of the current year? 2017? I would say 2016. I harken it back to when the draft happened. That's when this new era or the current era, or it doesn't really have a name, but I don't know. I put it back to mid 2016. Camille of the NWA is the unknown, but that looks like some untapped power potential right there. And we'll see what happens. Maybe she'll have a shot in Impact Wrestling or Ring of Honor or AEW or WWE. We will see. Or maybe she'll reach her potential in NWA. A lot remains to be seen. I'd love to see that as well. Too bad Lesnar doesn't get paid by the hour. But yeah. I feel like he needs the right opponent. Because if you remember SummerSlam, he had a solid match with Seth Rollins that went 15 minutes. So he needs the right opponent. And I feel like Keith Lee has a power and quickness advantage over Lesnar. Although Lesnar is a ridiculous freaking nature with his strength, even to this day. I would still love to see a match. I would love to see 15, 20 minutes of them just beating the crap out of each other. That's what I would love. Curtis Butler says Keith Lee is a well-spoken version of the Hulk. I can kind of see that. All right. So we got about 10 minutes left. It doesn't look like we're going to hit our 100 this week. But we will try this again next week. I still have it here, and I'll have it here until we hit $100 on our live streams. We'll try again next week. Unless for some reason there's like some explosion in the super chats in the next 10 minutes. We'll try again next week. And we'll continue it until we give it away. So, there you go. Mike Gonzalez, what was the better DX run, 2006 or 2009? 2006. I mean, both runs were, neither one of them was that long if you think about it. Because 2006 only went for about 6 months until Triple H got hurt. And Shawn kept using the DX theme for a little bit beyond that. And 2009 was only a few months until they lost the tag team titles, and then Shawn Michaels retired. So it's like neither run was super long. I think 2006 was more memorable just because it was a solid babyface run for both of them. Not that 2009 wasn't, but like 2006 felt more natural, if that makes any sense. Greg, out of these 3 women, who would marry, screw, and snob? Charlotte, Bayley, and Becky. I left Sasha as well. Answer to that. Very screw and snob. I would probably snog Charlotte, screw Bayley, and marry Becky. Is that weird? Yeah, I think that'd be solid. I mean, they did put over Legacy in 2009, and that submissions match. Yeah, I would marry Becky. I feel like, first of all, marriage should get it all. Secondly, I feel like out of the 3 of them, she would be the most fun to just generally be around. Not that Bayley or Charlotte wouldn't, but I feel like I get along with Becky's personality more than I would necessarily for Bayley or Charlotte. Plus, with Charlotte, you'd have to deal with Rick. And it's like, eh. Who is a better WWE champion, Bret Hart or the Macho Man? Ooh. That one's a tough one. I might have to give the edge to the Hitman. Savage's reigns were both good. They were both solid. But I feel like Savage was never seen as the true star, even as champion, because he was always overshadowed by Hogan. Bret didn't have that hurdle. WrestleMania 9 aside. Bret himself was the star. Not that Savage wasn't, but Savage was always overshadowed by Hulk As much as that's a shame to say, Hogan always overshadowed him, whether good, bad, or indifferent. So I give it to Bret. Both were really good heel champs. Yeah, they were good heel champs. They were also good face champs. What do you think of WWE buying Evolve? Well, it sounds like it was a necessary purchase for Evolve to even continue to exist. Because with all the COVID stuff, they couldn't run shows, so they really didn't have a choice. Whether WWE continues to run Evolve shows remains to be seen. They might just take the library and put it up on the network. Not a whole lot you can do there. Um, who's in Evolve right now? Well, nobody. There are a whole lot of people involved in Evolve right now. I don't think they've run shows since, like I said, since the COVID stuff started. But a lot of they used to send a lot of NXT people down to Evolve to help build up their shows. Like they had a working partnership. Um, but since Evolve had to sell to WWE, they might get the tape library and show a bunch of classic matches from people who work there. So I don't know. Who was your favorite double champion ever? Double champion. Lance Storm. Although he was more than a double champion, he was a triple champion. Kurt Angle is also a good one too. The Eurocontinental champion. All right, so 4 minutes left in this. I'm going to plug my stuff again. Hope you guys have enjoyed the live stream. I didn't do a whole lot entrance-wise or wheel-wise, but that's okay. Down week. It is what it is. So, before I sign off, I want to let you guys know to check out the youtube.com/GregCherryBrand YouTube channel. 4 episodes of Wrestling Trivia Challenge and for a future episode of Luck of the Draw coming up if you're a fan of that. And I thank you for watching that as well. teespring.com/stores/GregCherryBrand. Go buy a shirt. If you want a shirt designed specifically for you to order, I do those for $20 a piece. I'll do the design for you for $20, and then you can buy the shirt off the site in whatever color or whatever you want. So let me know if you want any designs for a shirt. Like if you have an event coming up, you want a shirt designed, and you're like, oh well, I don't know, like maybe we need 10 of these shirts. I was like, okay, I'll do the design for $20, and then you come out of 10 shirts, and you're good to go. Or anything like that. And of course, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at GregCherryBrand. And hopefully we will be back doing this again at our normal time of 3 o'clock Eastern. But if not, just follow the NoDQ.com YouTube channel. for all the latest news and information, for the review, for no DQ&A, whatever tickles your fancy here on the NoDQ.com YouTube channel. Check it out. Get the notifications. Click that bell. Click the bell to subscribe and get notifications for whenever we go live. And I think that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys for the super chats. Appreciate it as always. And we will see you next week for another stream with me, Great Cherry.